Well, Alberta separation continues to be a hot issue in the province and seems destined for a citizen-led referendum. Doing his best to ensure it does appear as a question on the next ballot is former Deputy Premier Thomas Lukaszuk, who joins us now. Thomas, thanks for taking time for us this morning. So your proposed question, do you agree that Alberta should remain a part of Canada, has been approved? You can find it on the Elections Alberta website. If we can just start where it stands this morning in terms of how many signatures you need and your campaign to get them.
We don't know that for certain yet, as Elections Alberta hasn't made a ruling whether the old rules or the pro-separatist Bill 54 will apply to us, but we will play by whatever rules Elections Alberta decides that we have to play by.
It's a big difference, 600,000 versus what would it be, closer to 150,000. Do you think you'll have any problems reaching the threshold if it's the higher one?
You know what, judging by the response that we're receiving from Albertans, or shall we say Canadians living in Alberta, I don't fear that. That's why we filed first, because we are quite prepared to play by the old rules. The response is overwhelming. We are literally inundated by questions: where do I sign and how do I volunteer? And we haven't even kicked off our campaign yet.
Why did you launch the campaign, Thomas, for those who haven't been following this?
Well, it was evident that this discussion and a referendum is inevitable. So I'm of the opinion that if we are going to discuss the future of Canada, this conversation has to be led by people who actually care about the future of Canada. And it has to be led on facts, not on disinformation. And I think many of your viewers will come to the conclusion that a lot of the selling pitches that are being proposed for Alberta to either separate or become the 51st state are simply fantasies and are disinformation, are not backed by the Canadian and Alberta laws, nor are they backed by economics. So I want Albertans to engage in a fact-based conversation, and I am convinced that by vast majority, Albertans want nothing to do with any form of separation.
This government does seem focused on some of these issues, separation, an Alberta pension plan, a provincial police force. I'm just wondering, from your time in government and sort of what you're hearing now, what's your sense of how important these issues are to Albertans?
Well, I know for a fact, when I was in government, Ralph Klein did a survey and had a panel, and Albertans clearly said that they don't want any part of separating from CPP or CMP or other federal programs. Recently, Danielle Smith was told the same thing by Albertans, but for some reason, she keeps on asking that question until she hears the answer she wants to hear. Albertans are very clear about the fact that our country is not perfect. There is room for improvement, and by no means am I proposing status quo, but there are mechanisms where we can negotiate, and we always have successfully negotiated our interprovincial and federal-provincial relationships. But none of those conversations should be with this proverbial gun being held to everybody's head of separation. Separation is not viable, but just this conversation about separation it has the potential of causing a lot of economic damage, both to Alberta and to the rest of Canada. We saw what happened to Quebec. There is a reason why Bank of Montreal moved its headquarters from Montreal to Toronto. We saw what happened in Brexit. Miss Nancy Southern of ATCO has already indicated that she's feeling economic repercussions. So the sooner we get this conversation behind us, a conversation based on facts, the better off Alberta and the rest of our country will be.
We'll see how quickly that gets on the ballot. Before I let you go, I just have to ask you your reaction to what we're hearing this week around the potential for the PC party to return.
Well, that is interesting. I think the more parties there are on a ballot, the better it is for democracy. I'm not sure how viable it is to revive the PC party or if that's even the right thing to do. But I think that may cause a lot of problems for our governing UCP, because now they have the Republican Party nipping at them from the right, and now they will have a more moderate, progressive, conservative party stealing votes from the left. So that is something that I imagine UPC is watching very carefully and may be very concerned about.
Okay, we'll continue to follow that. Of course, we'll continue following the dueling petitions. Thanks so much for your time. Very much appreciate it. That is former Deputy
There will be no
Premier.
dueling petition. There
Right.
will be only one petition.
Right. Well, not everyone thinks that, so we'll follow it. Thanks very much, Thomas. Appreciate it. That's Thomas Lukaszuk.
Thank you so much.
Okay.